to start, we're going to start off with standing, feet hip distance apart, standing nice and tall. Breathing in at the top, breathing out, tucking your chin towards your chest and slowly rolling down. Keeping your knees nice and soft, your arms and head nice and heavy. Breathing in at the bottom and breathing out, tucking your tailbone under and slowly rolling all the way back up. Good. Breathing in at the top and breathing out, chin to chest, slowly peeling down one vertebrae at a time. Arms and head heavy, knees nice and soft, only going as far as you're comfortable. Breathing in at the bottom and breathing out to tuck your tailbone under and slowly rolling back up. Good. We're going to do one more, this time going onto the mat. Breathing in at the top and breathing out, chin to chest. Slowly rolling down. Good. Breathe in and hold. And this time as you breathe out, you can bring your hands onto the floor and you're slowly walking yourself down onto your hands and knees. So we're going to start in this 4-point position. Knees are under your hips and hands are under your shoulders. We're going to go into our cat and cow stretch. So arching down through the low back, looking towards the front of your mat. Rounding out through the back, pushing up through the shoulder blades and looking down towards your belly button. Good. Let's move through that a couple of times. Now all these exercises, you're going to do it at your own pace. So you can try and do them in pace with me, but absolutely perfect if you want to go slower or a little bit faster. Good. Rounding out through the tailbone, push the shoulder blades. Good. And the opposite again. Tucking the tailbone. Push the floor away to really separate your shoulder blades, looking down towards your belly button. Good. Let's do one more each way. Okay, now finding your neutral position. So this is hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, your neck nice and long. And you want to give a gentle tuck of your belly button so your back isn't too arched. So a gentle tuck of your belly button to engage your core. We're going to start off with just the leg movement of your bird dog. So tapping back to the floor behind you and back in. Changing sides each time. All the time we're thinking about keeping our core nice and strong. We don't want to tip from side to side. Slightly harder level, reach long towards the wall behind you, keeping your foot off the floor. Slightly easier, just tapping down towards the end of the mat, making contact with the ground. Let's rest the legs here and go with just the arms. So same idea, engaging through those core muscles. Neck nice and long. Again, if this is a struggle, just reaching towards the mat in front of you. Really think about holding those tummy muscles. Now, important through all of these exercises is to keep breathing. So we don't want to hold our breath through any of the exercises. Okay, we're going to add those two together. So we're going to go opposite arm and opposite leg. So engage the tummy, reaching opposite arm, opposite leg, and back. So imagine you've got a plate resting across your hips. And as you extend, you don't want that plate to tip over from side to side. Good. Let's do one more each side. Well done. And resting there, bringing your knees a little bit wider. You're going to sit down onto your heels and stretch your arms out in front. So this is a child's pose stretch. If the position is uncomfortable on your shoulders, you can bring your hands to rest under your forehead or to rest by your side. Whichever position is comfortable for you. Good. We're going to walk our hands over to one side. Back to center and over to the other side. And back to center. Good. Coming back into your all fours position. This is our last one in this position. We're going to do a thread the needle. So you're going to take your right arm and reach long and back up. So only going as far as you're comfortable. It can be all the way down to your head and neck is resting on the mat, or just halfway. And it's okay to bend that opposite elbow. Good, last one. And resting there. Okay, good work. We're gonna go onto our backs now. So take your time and let's get set up lying on your back. So keep your knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Gonna bring your arms out wide to start, and we're gonna do some gentle knee rolls. So I want you to roll your legs gently towards one side and nice and slowly to the other. If you want a bit of an extra stretch, you can look the opposite direction to where your knees are going. And don't forget to think about using those tummy muscles to help draw your knees back to the start position. So there are the muscles that are going to help to protect your back. Good. Let's do one more each way. Good. And back to center. Okay, bringing your hands onto your hips, we're going to do some core work. So I want you to think about drawing your belly button down into the mat to help engage these lower tummy muscles. But we do want to be able to keep breathing, so you're only doing a gentle squeeze to about 30%. You don't want to be squeezing as hard as you can. So as we hold that gentle squeeze, you're going to slide that right leg out along the mat and back in. And changing sides. Left leg and back in. So focus on those tummy muscles. Trying to use those to slide your leg out and in. Good, we're going to go for one more on each side. Good, returning your knees back up to bent, knees pointing towards the ceiling. This time as you breathe out, you're engaging those tummy muscles, letting one leg fall out to the side. Breathe in, drawing back to center. Good, changing sides, letting one leg fall out to the side and back to center. So we don't want to be moving through our center here. The movement is just coming from your hip. And we know we're using our core muscles if we can keep everything else here nice and steady. So it doesn't matter how far your leg goes, it's more important that you can keep the control. Keeping the opposite knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Good. Good. Let's do 2 more on each side before we increase the level. Good. This time we're going to start to go into our tabletop position. So again, focusing on your core, draw your belly button towards your spine. We're going to bring one leg up to tabletop at a time. Good. Lifting one leg and lower. So all the movements are slow and controlled. Your tabletop position is 90 degrees at your hip and at your knee. Again, trying to avoid your body rocking side to side. Let's do 4 more and then we'll take a little rest. Last 2. And 1. Good. Let's take a rest in our knee to chest position. So holding onto your 2 knees and hugging them in good and tight to try and relax. You can do 1 leg at a time if this position isn't fully comfortable for you. Okay, we're going to increase our core exercises a little bit again. So engaging the tummy muscles. This time we're bringing 1 leg to tabletop. Good. Then we're going to bring the second leg to tabletop. Lowering the first nice and gently, lowering the second. Good. 1 leg to tabletop, followed by the second. Lowering the first and lowering the second. Good. Keep that going in your own time. Really engage those tummy muscles as you have to lift that second leg. You shouldn't feel any pain in your back. So if you are feeling that, you might need to reduce back to one of the previous levels that we've done. I want you to stick to that level, but if you're feeling confident, this can be your progression. So you're going to hold your tabletop position. You're tapping 1 foot towards the floor and return to the center. Second foot to the floor, return to center. So you choose what level suits you best, and it's okay to rest down in between if you need to. It's good. Really gentle taps towards the floor. Focus on your breathing and those core muscles. Let's see if we can get 5 more, and then we'll take a rest. 4, 3. Good. Last 2. And 1. Good. Hold your tabletop and hug your knees in towards your chest. Good work. Okay, let's rest our feet down to the floor. We're going to straighten out our right leg, keeping our left knee bent. Thinking about our tummy muscles, gentle tuck, and you're going to lift and lower just your right leg. To make it a little bit more challenging, try not to rest it on the floor in between. Good, let's try 4 more to get to 10. Good, keep thinking of those tummy muscles. We've got 2 to go on this side. Good, and resting down. Let's change sides. So left leg straight, tummy engaged, lifting up and lower. Now you're only lifting to about the height of the opposite knee. Trying to keep your legs straight if you can. Got 3 to go, 2, and 1. Good, and resting down. 2 knees back to bend. knees pointing up towards the ceiling, and we're going to bring our hands by our side and go into our bridge. So for our bridge, engage your tummy, tilt your hips back like you're trying to flatten your back into the mat, and then peeling up one vertebrae at a time before restacking your spine down onto the mat. Good. Again, working at your own pace. Some people will prefer to do this faster. Squeezing the glutes at the top, restacking your spine from the chest first, down onto the mat. Good. Let's keep the knees pointing up towards the ceiling. So you should feel the back of the legs starting to warm up. That's it. Let's do our final 3. 2. And on this last one, we're going to hold it up in the air. So squeeze the bum muscles, push through the feet and the heels. We're going to hold it there for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly lower down. Good. We're going to progress that bridge a little bit and go into some single leg. If this is too difficult, I want you just to continue with your normal double leg bridge. So we're going to start by lifting up on 2 legs, and then we're going to go into a tabletop march. So bringing one leg to tabletop and lower. Second leg to tabletop and lower. So all the time you want to think about keeping your hips steady. So you don't want your one hip to drop from side to side as you lift the opposite leg. So squeezing the glutes. Good, we're almost there. We're going for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. 2 feet back to the mat, and then we lower down nice and slowly. Okay, after all those bridges, we'll go into a bit of a hamstring stretch. So you can keep the opposite knee bent or have it straight along the mat. You're going to straighten one leg, point your toes up towards the ceiling and pull it towards you until you feel a gentle stretch into the back of your leg. If this is too intense, leave your toes nice and relaxed or bending your opposite knee. Try and slow down your breathing and relax into that stretch of the hamstring. Good. Resting down, let's change sides. Straightening that leg up towards the ceiling. Good. Nice slow breaths. Good, and relaxing down there. Okay, we're going to go into some side lying next. So if you want to get yourself set up for some side lying exercise, we're going to start on our side for our favorite, our clam exercise. So resting on your arms, stretching out, your hips and knees are bent, your feet are in line with your hips, and your top hip is facing forward. Gentle engagement of the tummy muscles, so we've got some space here. We're going to lift that top leg up and down. Good. So remember keeping that top hip facing forward. Sun is out of my eyes finally. Good. Continue with that. If you want a progression, you can lift your feet up from the floor and continue the same movement. Going for 3 more. Let's hold this last one open for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and resting down. Well done. Straightening out your legs. A little bit easier, keep the bottom knee bent. Slightly harder, you can straighten your two legs so you're like a pencil, using your hand out the front for a little bit of balance. Good, we're going to point the toe to lift, pull the toes towards you and lower. Again, easier level is if you rest in between each one, slightly harder if you don't let your feet come to touch. Good, this is 5, we're going to go for 10. 6, 7, 8, well done, nearly there, you should feel the glute burning now. 9 and 10, good, resting down. This time we're going to hover that top leg to hip height. You're going to point your toe as you draw it forward, drag your heel to bring it back. You may need to bend your bottom knee for this one for a little bit more support. Keeping your core nice and strong. You're only moving your leg as far forward and back as you can control here in your tummy. Good, you're nearly there. We've got 3 to go. 2 and 1. Good, and resting that leg down to give it a break. Okay, while we're on this side, we're going to do an open book stretch. So resting down onto the floor, palms together. Breathing in. As we breathe out, we're going to lift that top hand up and over, reaching towards the floor on the opposite side. Breathe in to hold. Breathe out. And let's bring our palms back together. Again, doing this one at your own pace. Some people like to remain in this stretch position for a couple of breaths if it feels quite good. But whatever works for you. And back together. Another alternative is that you can bring that top hand all the way up overhead, keeping your fingertips in as much contact with the floor as you can. And back together. Good, let's go for one more. Good, nice work. We're going to move on to the other side, so I'll just turn around so that you guys can still see me. So setting up for your clam, hips and knees bent, feet in line with your hips, little space under here, keeping the top hip facing forward. Good. Sometimes it helps to keep this hand on here to stop it from rolling backwards. And again, it doesn't matter how high you lift. It's more about using the right muscles and having good control. Again, hovering your feet up from the floor. That's good. We've got 5 to go. Nice, good work. Straightening out your two legs, using your fingertips for balance if you need to. We're going to point to lift, pull towards you to lower. Try to keep nice and steady. You're halfway. Let's go for 5, 4, well done. Last 3, 3, 2, and 1. Resting down. We've got one more hip exercise on this side. We're going to hover that leg up to about hip height. You can bend your knee if you need to for a bit more stability. Pointing your toe to go forward, drawing your heel to bring it back. Keeping nice and steady here through your core. Again, not about how far you go, keeping the movements nice and small and controlled. We're on to our last 3, 2, And 1. Good, resting down. Take a break. Let's bring our palms together and go into our open book stretch on this side. So lifting that top hand up and over towards the floor on the opposite side. Try to keep your hips stay facing forward. And again, your alternative, keeping your fingertips close to the floor, reaching up and over. Good, and you're looking towards your hand, and it goes to the opposite side. Nice, last one. Okay, well done. Let's have a roll onto our backs. We're just going to finish off with a nice little glute stretch. So you're going to put one ankle up across the opposite knee. You've got 2 levels here, so pushing that knee down towards the floor. You should feel a stretch in this hip, or else you can bring that leg in towards you and hold that stretch there. So slowing your breathing down. Really trying to relax into that stretch, deep stretch in the hip and the glutes. A couple more seconds. And lowering down. Let's change sides. One ankle across the opposite knee. Either lifting that leg towards you or just pushing that knee down away towards the floor. Feeling that gentle stretch into your right hip. Don't force it too much, just go with whatever. Both sides will probably feel a little bit different. And resting there, hugging your 2 knees in towards your chest, holding on good and tight, making yourself into a little ball, and we're just taking some deep breaths in this position to finish up. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Good, nice deep breaths. Slowly releasing your legs. Good, well done today, guys. So that's a nice little mat session for you. If you're not comfortable getting on the floor, probably best to do that with supervision so that you've got help to get on and off. And trying out a couple of different levels of exercises just to make sure that there's some comfortable for you. Cool, have a great day.